Welcome to the Garden of Edun. Dami be asking the questions for the answers that you want to hear. All you gotta do is sit back, grab a chair, or listen up while you clean and cook. Take a leaf from the creative's book. These gems open your mind and your heart. Okay, the show's gonna start. Cheese! Welcome back to the Garden of Edun podcast, everyone. I'm your host, Dami, and this is where ideas grow. Today, I know I say it every week or every other week, but today we truly have a very special guest here in Chian Reynolds. Chian, welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I know we talked off cam and you know, the whole thing about when you're creating content and you're thinking, you have those moments of like self-doubt or nerves. Today was one of those days, but I feel like I'm pretty excited for what's gonna come from this conversation. So yeah.
I'm excited as
well. So just to give the people listening some context, Chian is a content creator. She's the host of the show Conscious Conversations on her own YouTube channel, and the host of a very popular YouTube show in the UK urban scene called Grilling on Standout TV. And just shout out you guys, because you've impacted the culture in a mad way with that show. Mad way.
Oh, thank you. Oh, I appreciate that. I think like with that, it's really humbling to hear that, because when we created the show, that's exactly what our intentions were. So thank you for saying that.
No, it's really good, and it's opened up, like, I think a lot of people to different topics that they wouldn't necessarily have discussed in such detail. So I think it's powerful for that reason. It's also quite funny too. So yeah, it's all good. But I think, I noticed you first from that show, and then I think I went onto your Insta page and saw that you had something called Conscious Hypocrite, which caught my attention. But I was like, okay, this is interesting. And, you know, in the discussions that you have on that page and then on your YouTube channel, I really thought you'd be a great guest to have on, because you'd have a lot of value to give people in certain situations. So yeah, I'm pretty excited.
I think with that, it's the reason why I call myself the Conscious Hypocrite, because I definitely know I am. I think we all are. And I think it's just my ego wanting to get ahead. Like, no one can cancel me because I'm very conscious, aware that I'm very hypocritical with my actions, you know, to save myself.
Yeah, it's funny actually, because that was one of the things I wanted to ask you about, because I think sometimes when people dive into exploring consciousness or philosophies around like spirituality and those elements of the world, it can be really easy to go, yeah, I know this shit. Like, I'm above all you mere mortals because I'm clued up and like I'm a better person than you. So yeah, calling yourself conscious hypocrite. Did you know, like when you were exploring consciousness and spirituality, did you already have that understanding that you were still like imperfect, or was it like, oh yeah, I'm becoming this better person, this more well-rounded person, and then through doing that you realize, oh no, but I'm still kind of full of shit sometimes too as well? Like
yeah, I think it was like one of my best friends, like, she's actually a vegan, shout out Gemma. So she's a vegan, she's always posting stuff, and whenever we'd be like at events or parties, and you know when there's always like someone making the vegan comment, and so she'd on and it would turn into a debate, and I would always like stick up for her, and then they're like, but you eat meat, and I'm like, yes I know, but I'm conscious enough to know like it's way better quality of life for you and all this. And then I realized, like, just with everything that I do, like fast fashion, like I know it's very unethical, like the way workers are treated in sweatshops, but for me, save my bank balance, and for fast fashion I will just buy everything from like the shops and stuff. So it's really hard to do anything in life without realizing that you're just a bit of a hypocrite, you know, with growth and with change. And that's why I hope, just in the name, the Conscious Hypocrite, people can like, also, not that I care if people come for me, but I just think to remind people that before we hold judgment with things, like, we're all trying, because like, especially with like my Chian Reynolds content account, I know that I post quite very revealing kind of selfies and stuff like that, but that doesn't really define who I am as a person. So when I'm trying to talk or get someone to take me seriously, they're like, well, you're half naked. Like, although I'm not, but it just kind of takes away from like what kind of power or influence I'm trying to bring from my conversations on the consciousness. So that's why I was like,
Yeah.
I'm with it. The Conscious Hypocrite. That's me.
Hey there, Garden of Edun podcast listeners. Sorry to interrupt this episode. I just wanted to say thank you for watching and listening. If you get value from this podcast, from the guests sharing their perspectives on their journeys, I would appreciate if you could share this with maybe 1 or 2 people that you know will get something out of it. If you like the podcast, please subscribe or follow it on whichever audio platform you're listening to it on. We've got more exciting content coming up with athletes, musicians, comedians, journalists, sharing their journeys towards mastery. And now back to the show.
Yeah, no, I think it's important sometimes for us to realize that even sometimes getting better in a certain area of life, you know, we still have moments where we have to, you know, check ourselves a little bit, so we know, okay, I ain't perfect either. Like I feel like I can judge this person, but actually if I look deep within, I've done that too. I've said one thing and literally 5 minutes later I've gone and done the exact opposite that I said I would never do. So yeah, having that self-awareness, I think, is important. So I want to dive a little bit further back in your journey, because I think this is something which can help a lot of people. So to give some context, I think for a lot of people it's very nerve-wracking doing content, creating content for a lot of people. And, you know, for people like, I guess, yourself and me in some ways, you know, as you're doing more, you start to get more comfortable, you start to ease in, but you still have a lot of like niggling battles that you need to face sometimes when you're going into the arena. But I think for a lot of people, the reality is so scary that it blocks them from doing it. So my question for you is, what made you step into that world of creating content online? And was it something you're excited to do, or did you have a lot of things holding you back? And if you did, what were they and how did you overcome those things?
Yeah, good question. Do you know what? It's really funny. So originally, like, I actually started off doing a lot of things on feminism. So I was quite a preacher. So if anyone knows that's followed me day one, they know I was like such a feminist preacher back in the day. And then I think it was just because I used to speak about like my own personal experiences. Or I just love to preach. And then I realized people liked what I had to say, because then they'd be like, oh, I really like that. And the intention was never to like be doing it online as a platform. It would just be like, I'm just speaking and I'm just sharing my thoughts and whatever. And I think the one that got a lot of recognition, I took the video down now, but I was talking about feminism and just the importance of toxic masculinity. And it was about like domestic violence and just the importance of like teaching people about emotions, especially men, because then maybe there wouldn't be so many angry, frustrated men. And then that kind of then took a turn, because I had more men messaging me about feminism and just saying like, I really love what you're doing. And then that's when I realized like, oh, feminism isn't as bad as people make it. Like, because I was then trying to change this stigma behind it, because the moment you say you're a feminist, people just switch off. And then
it's like a buzzword, trigger word, is it also a trigger word? People get triggered by it, yeah.
No, and then I just realized in general, it's not even about feminism. Obviously, feminism is very important for equality, but I realized just in the direction I wanted to take content was just to listen and just to actually have conversations, because people always like listen to argue and they don't listen to understand. And I realized that. And so that's when I realized like I want to create more of like a platform where people can just share their opinion and not be judged for it, because no matter what, like anyone says, like I will never judge them. And I think it's important that people understand that, because this is the problem with online and social media, like cancel culture. You say one wrong thing, people just want you to disappear off the earth. And I think like it's really important that we understand, like, to learn from mistakes, but also people have different realities and people have different perspectives. And in the pandemic, when the Black Lives Matter movement happened, I think it opened a lot of everyone's eyes, like not just for the racism, but I grew up in a predominantly white area, and being mixed, it was kind of like I was always surrounded by like the white perspective. So when the Black Lives Matter was happening, I was trying to explain to people like it's half the time people like, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of racists in the world. I'm not saying there's not.
Yeah.
But a lot of it is through like ignorance, and because it's not their reality. So when I'm saying to people, because people were getting mad, like, why is no one speaking up? Why is no one saying this? And I can understand the frustration, but I can't understand because I'm only mixed race, so I can empathize with the situation. And then it comes back into the whole like, when like the white area I live in, because they don't have that education of like what it means to be Black or that Black influence, it's not going to affect their life. So these people aren't walking and marching because it doesn't affect them, you know. And so then I don't know how I got off onto this topic, but going back into just content, and then I realized with the angle and direction that I want to go with my content and create my platform, it genuinely is for change. Like I am a bit of a preacher. I'm crazy enough to think I can change the world, by the way. And that's like why I'm trying to just build my platform so I can just do things for greater good, not just to have a platform and be like, oh my God, I'm such a famous influencer. Like that's not the case. It's to build a community of people that feel safe and be able to share their voice.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like you can definitely gauge that from the shows that you have on your YouTube channel. Like the conversations you have are very raw, vulnerable, and people are sharing a lot of things which, you know, for a lot of people, it might be scary to do that because they're divulging personal information. I know for me, sometimes it can be difficult to really get to the, like go deep, but it's also really helpful because a lot of people are silently going through certain situations. So having a platform to do that is really valuable. Something else that I got from what you were just saying though, is that you like, or you can at least handle conversations with people that don't see things the same way you do. How do you do that? How do you navigate that?
I think you've just got to learn to drop your ego, because I think as humans, we always want to be right. Like nobody wants to hold themselves accountable. So especially when you're arguing and you're actually wrong. No one wants to admit that. No one wants to be like, oh my God. So in order to, you know, for me, I just think the more you just listen, the more you can understand a person. I just think that's just something I've learned. I think growing up with like loads of sisters, and I was always the quiet one. So I just learned to just not voice my opinions. So then I realized the power in my voice, because I would always observe. And then when I spoke sense, because I listened to everyone, I like respected what everyone had to say. Then I would kind of like be, okay, this is now what I'm going to say, because I'm listening to all of you. I want to make a little something for all of us and then represent us all, kind of thing. And that's what I kind of just learned with my voice.
Right. So you're like the silent controller in the house, really.
Yeah,
with the siblings.
I listen to everything. Like there's a party, there's a fight, and there's this, like whatever it is, like I will listen to everything. I will see every perspective, because it's like people are only ever give their side of the story. You know, so there's his side, her side, then there's the truth in the middle, because not that either are lying, but your perspective is your perspective. So, you know, someone might say to you, I don't like this, but you're just hearing it as I don't like you, or whatever it might be. So sometimes it's just learning to listen.
Definitely. It's an underrated skill, for sure.
real.
Underrated skill. So going back into like your content creator journey, I think like, so for example, if I look at myself, right, for me, I'm really curious about people and their stories and what takes them from A to B, because I feel like you get a lot of like fascinating and inspiring moments, or even moments that you can connect on that weren't necessarily so positive, but you can almost learn from those experiences, apply them to your life, or just, you know, you just learn a lot about people. And I think it makes it easier to develop relationships or connect with people, because you have such a wealth of information from where people from where people have come from and gone to. And I think that's what I love about doing this podcast and speaking to people like yourselves and learning about their journeys. And obviously I've noticed that you're a host on, you know, the Grilling Show, and you're a host on your own platform with Conscious Conversations as well. what inspired you to be a creator in that form? Because I guess it's also quite easy to just speak about the things that you care about and that just be your lane, or, you know, entertainment, for example, specifically that. But for you, why did you become host and speak to other people and learn from them? What inspired you to do that?
So with the grilling, it was just more kind of, I realized that like, as much as I love my conscious stuff, because to me, that's, if I could just get paid and do this all day, every day, yeah, I do it for, like, I'll do it for free. That's so much I love it. But with the grilling, it's kind of like, I kind of say grilling is like my alter ego because I don't always want to like be dating people.
Yeah.
And I think like conscious content is just very heavy. Like not everyone wants to listen to it. Whereas like when you do entertainment, it's an escape. People just want to laugh. People need to laugh. Like after a pandemic of 2 years, like nobody actually wants to sit and go deep at the moment. So I think that's why grilling has been so successful, because it's so many people message like, oh my God, I've not stopped laughing, like all these good things, which is great. And as well, we're nosy, like people love knowing like who's dating who or who's interested. Like it's just little things, and especially some questions are a bit explicit, so people just want to be nosy. So I can imagine that's why that's doing well. And I think for me, I want to show like my diversity, that I can do entertainment, although it's more like intrusive, serious questions. But like my humor's quite dry anyway, so for me, it's quite suited to me. But yeah, that's that.
Yeah, so it's almost like it's still kind of in your lane, but you're packaging it up for the masses.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think as well with like grilling, I do love it, because going back to like, I feel like everything does connect to like my original intention behind creating content was to empower women. And I kind of feel like it is for me, because there's not that many date shows that are female lead, where they're as outspoken as I am, because I kind of find like women like sometimes go into a box, or they're very scared to ask certain questions. And I think with the whole like I'm very on female empowerment, but I don't agree with the female liberation movement right now, with the whole gold digger attitude, like get money kind of thing, do nothing for yourself. I'm not on that. I don't promote that. So I know when
why
I
is
ask,
that?
do you know what? Why is it? Because I think as women, like we've come so far to be taken serious and to be, you know, for me, I like it when someone actually has a conversation with me and wants to listen. So I'd much rather lead with that than have someone pay for my life, you know, because when you get women that just want to get money for no reason, like that's fine. You secure your bag in your own way, but it's just detrimental for then women that do want to use their brain or use their voice, because then people then put you in a category, because when I'm glammed up, people have this assumption about me that I'm an idiot, and they just kind of like put me in the category of as if I'm like a girl that only wants to just like get naked or do something for money or just ask people to cash at me, and that's not the case. So it's important for you know what I mean? I use my voice and I use my platform, and I just flip it around just to educate people. Like, you know I ask the questions on the show, but it's because, you know, general, I'll ask someone, how much money do you earn? But it's not so you can give it to me. It's just a question, because for me, I'm only going to date someone that's either got the same ambitions or finance brackets as me. I don't think that you should date below unless they've got the vision there, so you can help bring them up. So yeah, that's the little gold diggering question that I ask on grilling. But people listen, like, why is she asking him? And in my head, I'm like, it's a comment. I know it is rude. Like, don't get me wrong. In real life, like when I'm trying to get to know someone, I probably wouldn't ask that early. But I definitely would ask, just so I know where I'm going with my life. Not to shame a man, not to be like, oh, you're broke, you don't have any. Because at the end of the day, like, to be a good man, you don't need money. And I think society's got it so twisted in thinking that you only have value as a man if you've got money. And I think, like, secondly, if you're a good woman, you help that man get it, you know. So
facts. Yeah, I think with the money thing, it is tricky because there's a lot of things at play. Obviously, you have things like gender pay gap that affects how much men earn and women earn, and generally that will lead to men earning more. But then, as you said, like the value of a man isn't necessarily completely in the net worth. There's obviously other things that are important. And I think, yeah, as a woman, it's dangerous leverage to give a man to earn all the money for both of you, because then obviously, you know, to trust any other human with your complete livelihood is a dangerous game to play in any kind of relationship. Even people who have parents who subsidize their whole lives, like that's pretty bad.
And I think with that, that's how you then get like narcissistic, abusive relationships, because then it becomes a power and control situation. Because when you are a woman that's like, you know, living off of a man, it becomes with the whole, you wouldn't have that if it wasn't for me. And it's like there's so many different dynamics, because not every man is a provider because their intention is to provide for their man. Like some men will start to resent a partner for it. So it's deeper than people realize. Like not every individual is the same, and we forget that when we generalize about men with money and women. But we move.
So going back to your like YouTube channel, Conscious Conversations, I think it takes a journey, like well-traveled, to have, you know, a name like that as, you know, the name of a show. Like you have to have gone on a journey, I think, internally to actually even arrive at that topic. Because I know for myself, when I was younger, maybe in my early 20s, if someone tried to chat to me about consciousness, get out of here, man. I'm not here for that. I'm just not hearing it. I'm just not hearing it. But obviously through life, you have certain experiences. I think for me, one of the big ones was I had a massive, massive heartbreak with a girl who lived in Australia. Like I went out to Australia, got my heart smashed. Like it was tough. And it was really interesting actually, because it made it, it's heartbreak, so it's painful anyway. But for some reason, it just got me thinking a lot about death and time and all these things, which
life, like the meaning of life, like
everything basically. It made me question the whole fabric of reality, really, through a series of like thought patterns. I just arrived there, and I guess that started my journey into exploring what is consciousness, what is actually spirituality. Oh, religions fit into this. Why do people believe in this? Like, oh, hope and faith, like all these concepts. So for you, I'd be really curious to hear what encouraged your journey in that lane, because I always find it fascinating what like breaks the seal, I guess.
Their life inspired that event. Do you know what? It's weird. Like for me, like don't get me wrong, I have a really good life story, because it's like I've had, you know, hurdle after like genuinely, like I've had the maddest life. Like, do you like anything bad that can happen to a person has actually happened to me? And so it's kind of like it was just every time I would kind of build my life back up together. So when you like, you know, when you grow up and when you're in a broken home, when you don't have money, all these kind of things that like everyone has a struggles, but when you constantly have struggles and setbacks and things that are beyond your control, like people would do horrible things to me, which like I'm not speaking about just yet, but things that would constantly happen. And I was very like suicidal, I was very depressed, like all these setbacks, like I was in abusive relationships, just so you get an idea of like just what kind of toxicity environments I was in. And until it was kind of like, what, like I literally give up, like I do not want to be here anymore. But then the more I started speaking out, I understood other people. And then when you like kind of, you heal with other people and then you resonate with them. And I kind of felt like this, like we're all connected. And then that's how it then went off into this tangent of like, oh my God, everything's connected. And then I just kind of then just really understood, everything just started making sense. And then I kind of feel like, and that's when I was like, it was weird. It was really, really weird.
Yeah. So, because you spoke about the point where you realized that you were connected, what actually was that? Like, what actually made you go, oh, this thing happened, this means
it's
we're all
hard.
connected? What would you put that on, if you remember?
Yeah, let me have a think. It's actually really hard to think, you know. It's weird. I always felt like Oh, do you know what it was? I was homeless, right? And
Wow.
yeah, and I was in the hostel, and I had my phone, and I think there was I can't remember what it was, but I was watching. I think it was. Do you remember I can't remember the little boy's name, but remember in Syria, and it was the little boy, and he sat up in an ambulance, and he's just sat up, and he's just covered in just all the dust from the ash from the bombs and stuff.
I think so.
I remember watching that, and then it was really weird. Then for me, it was just like after that night, I couldn't stop thinking about it, and then I had just this really vivid dream. You know when it feels like you were there, and then it was just like it felt real. Like I was literally physically there, and I just felt it was happening. It was just so crazy. And then like when certain events like that happen, like even with like the Black Lives Matter movement thing, like in America, George Floyd, when certain things happen, I feel like in that moment I can really connect. Like it's crazy. And then it was just mad. And then for me, it was just kind of like, no, like we're all here, but for what reason? And it kind of, I take it when I say this because I sound like I can like proper in conspiracies and stuff, but it's been kind of like, why are we here? And then it was just, I dig deeper, and it's like this whole power and control, and then just as humans, and I believe like genuinely like love conquers all, like, but it's just crazy with these things. I've got family, this is really long, I'm sorry, I keep talking.
No, it's fine. Take your time.
Just like with mental health and how this also connects. So I have a family member who is very unwell, like has psychosis, like schizophrenia and psychosis, who isn't really present with us in their mind. Sometimes when they'd say things, they like, it kind of makes sense. Like, you know, sometimes when they like that weird, like religious, spiritual thing, and then you're like, that connects. Like, that's weird, kind of thing.
I have definitely had that moment with somebody that you think, or everyone classically thinks is, usually they're socially ostracized as well, right? But they say a line or they say something and you go, you know what, there's some truth in that.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean.
And then that's why it then made me start to think like internally, like you're conscious with yourself and your soul and your presence. And, you know, everyone has different beliefs, like whether it's reincarnation or things like that. But like for me, with my personal belief, like we just, like our souls here, we're just having a human experience. And I really do believe that. So then the more I started just connecting to myself, it was just weird how like the world just started responding to me different. Like it was like I literally woke up after the next day. I was like in a bad place. I had that really vivid dream and just saw the world different. And it was kind of like, okay, like this is how things can change now. It sometimes goes into the whole like your thoughts become things and your mindset and your mentality. Because like, yeah, it was really, really crazy. But then from that moment, it was when I think when you hit rock bottom, it's kind of like you literally have this spiritual awakening. And then you're like, oh my God, like people think it's this really joyful crystals, meditation, Zen. It's like, no, I do not want to be here right now. I haven't bathed in about 5 days. I haven't eaten, like I'm purpose of it. I'm literally on the brink of like insanity, but you just have this like epiphany moment and you're like, oh my God, like I'm really, I need to get through this, because for me, my driving force is just, I have to help the world. Like that, I feel like that was my promise to God, like when I was just at rock bottom, because at that time I was like, oh my God, I really don't want to be here. I don't want to be alive. Like that's how crazy like rock bottom it was. But then my promise to God was like, if I wake up tomorrow, I'm going to change my life and I'm going to get to the top just so I can help other people, because that for me personally is the meaning of life. So to help those that need it, you know.
Yeah, you hear a lot of people who have achieved like a huge level of success, quote unquote success, right? They've achieved a huge level of success, but they tend to say that they get the most joy after reaching that level for themselves. Almost, they almost realize that it's not actually as important as it is unless they're helping people. Now they're in that position, like that's where they get the most value from. So I feel like in terms of meaning of life, it makes sense, but you know, obviously system isn't quite set up to do that, especially in the Western world. But you know what I think can really help people in this conversation now? I think it would be really good to hear about what you did day to day, because hearing you say that you were homeless and you're in this really chaotic situation, which, you know, a lot of people can unfortunately fall prey to, because life is mad things can happen all at once, and suddenly your life goes from one thing to a complete different thing. So it can really hit people when they're least expecting it, these moments. How did you build yourself back up on a day-to-day level? Because obviously in the macro, you can hear these stories like, okay, I went from this situation to that situation, but obviously from day to day, things aren't really changing that much. So how day to day were you navigating that?
Thank you for that question. Every day was a fight, and it's a shame that when you're going through things, people don't actually share the story until like they've gone through it. Because I think we're very embarrassed to admit sometimes that we're like struggling. But for me, you have to force yourself out of bed every day. Because my problem was like I was just staying in bed, like I would not leave this room, and the mattress was horrible. It was a plastic mattress. It was this thin.
Jesus Christ.
Like you have to feel like, and it's just that you have to also be kinder to yourself. Because for me, I was so harsh on myself. It was like, oh, you're a failure, you're this, you're that, like so many things. And you have to just kind of get over this mind barrier with how you are talking to yourself and how you're responding to things. So every day it would just kind of literally like a mantra, like I do love myself and I deserve better and I'm going to get better. So it would be kind of like, you have to just get up and go for a walk, because at that time, like my anxiety was so bad, like I couldn't leave the room. And that's why everything just had this knock-on effect, because if I even stepped outside the door, I had, just like when you have hyperventilating panic attacks, like that's what it was, because I was just so ashamed just about being in the situation that I was in. I didn't want to go out. I didn't want anyone to see me. And then even just with like the food aspect, like I didn't want to eat because I didn't think that I deserved food, like all these crazy things. So then going back to like the mindset thing, it was like being kind to myself. Like if I want to be alive, like then I need to eat, even if I'm not hungry, eat to fuel your body, to keep yourself going. So it's just reminding yourself, like, just do this for you, like your future self will thank you for it. And that's just what it was each day. And then like, just even if you just set a goal a day, like I personally didn't, but I would set a goal and it would be like, okay, like my goal is to get a job. So then each day, like I would do action something, like create a solution to get it. So then even if it was just going on Indeed and bringing up like 10 calls a day, because it's soul destroying when they're saying no, because then you're like, okay, that's too much negativity. So you set yourself small tasks. And then by the time I got into a routine where I was more happy, the walks were getting longer. And then it was kind of like I was more chirpy in my vibration in the phone, sort of like, oh, hi, I've got any jobs. And then I think after about like 2 weeks of just doing that in a routine, I just was like, someone actually was like, oh, can you come today, like for just to come in to introduce yourself. So I remember I was like, okay. So then well, this story is really important actually. So I get the job, and it was just like being a receptionist for a restaurant. And I look now, like 4 years later, it's now the restaurant that I film in, you know, for grilling. So it's, you know, so everything does happen for a reason. Like I was so depressed, and you know, like the company, I've stayed with them for 4 years, working, and like I got promoted into PR. So like, so starting off on the phones, then doing their PR work and helping run the venue when they opened a new branch. And then because I've built such a good relationship with them, like, and it's now created another opportunity for like the show that I filmed. So just when you're in a dark place in that present moment, just literally keep going. You don't know how, and that going back to everything connects, like the dots connect, like honestly, they really do connect when you start looking back. So.
Yeah, that's a real full circle moment.
Oh, it really is. So that's like, we're ever grateful for like it. The venue used to be called Pavaz at the time, but it's now Figo. So I'm so grateful for like everyone at Figo restaurant. So,
yeah. Wow, there's a lot to take from that.
Yeah, I don't know. It was only until you were saying that I asked me that question. I was like, oh my God, like for real.
Yeah, that's huge. Because as someone who hasn't been through those things, and I guess it sometimes is the case when you haven't been through something, it can sound, it almost sounds impossible. Like I hear that and think, fuck, how do you get out of that?
Wow.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of people can take from that. Yeah, just those little things that you mentioned, like those little things that you did every day just to build a routine to get back
you have to
towards something that you wanted to happen.
Yeah, but Joe, it's funny because back then I didn't even ever think about doing a show. Like it's just crazy now when you look back. You're like, that's crazy. Just the goal at the time was just to work, get a job, be happy. I wasn't even.
Yeah.
I wanted to do content, but not in the way of doing it as like a show or like a host to a show. But it's just the direction life takes you.
Yeah, man, the journey, it's a beautiful one. On that actually, because, you know, looking at the content you do, there's a lot of, or I sense a lot of emotional output, essentially just bearing your soul. Even on this podcast, really, you've bared a lot of your soul, and I appreciate that because I think it's good content and it helps people. Like, it actually helps people because someone in that situation could hear that and it changes their life. Might be small, but it's just the little like switch can turn on that gives them the glimmer of hope that then leads to something big. So how do you manage it yourself when you're making content in that space where you're going to exert a lot of emotional energy? Is it always comfortable, or do you have to what's the word I'm looking for? Like, do you have to I don't know, dish it out in bits and reserve it?
I think sometimes it really does depend on the energy and who you're having the conversations with or where you are, like the environment, like everything is so different. But for me, I always believe like there's so much power in vulnerability because like I've been to like the darkest place, you know, like to the depths of everything. So I'm not fazed by people really like listening to this and being like, oh my God, you were this, or using it against me, because I feel like the moment you own something that you weren't like, that you was not proud of, or something that you've come through, like no one can hold that against you. So that's what for me, like personally, like my true power. So I'm not bothered. But in regards to like protecting my energy, it's important. So like there's certain conversations that I can't have because I'll find them triggering. Like if this was, you know, for example, you know, like a platform, and I'm not throwing shade, but you know, like a platform like Backchat, I probably would have to do something like that because I would find it very triggering, because going back to like my personal, like, you know, like ethos kind of thing would be, you know, it's to listen to understand and not listen to argue. So something like that would just have me feeling vulnerable in a negative way, that it's like, oh my God, I'm just now hella triggered, I can't do this. But things like podcasts like this one, and just people where you can see like that just want to hear and want to listen and understand, you feel like it's a safe space. So I'm not saying to everyone just go out and be like, this is my story, especially if you haven't healed, because you'll be very triggered if people don't respond to it in the way you want. So it's make sure that you're sharing your story without the expectation of validation, because if you have that, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Whereas now I feel I'm in such a good place that I'll just say it because I've gone through it and I'm in a much better space. So hopefully it could help someone else. So it's not like I need someone to be like, oh, poor you, Chian, I can't believe it. Like, it's fine. Like, it doesn't even affect my life now. That's why I can just say it just like that.
Yeah. I mean, they do say that talking about things has a power within it that allows you to release the emotions that holding it in
don't
is
let
causing.
it just, like harvest within, and it just harbors up, and then you just like, you just gotta like timing as well. Just be ready to just do things, not do things like just say only when you're ready. I think with that, so just as well protect your energy. Make sure the people that you're sharing parts with are people that you don't mind sharing them with and stuff like that. Because also, not everyone deserves to know you. I know I'm sat there and I'm preaching it for everyone to see, but it's kind of like there's still so much that I haven't shared. So for me, that's just a small insight, and I feel like that's not even. For me, that's not even the biggest thing that's affected my life that I've shared today, you know, and that's why it's like, it's everything just adds up, but it's also the importance of just protecting your energy. Like, not everyone knows like the real me, and no one's ever going to know the real me. And so that's why accepting the fact that no matter what you say or share or do, people always have like their perspective or their perception of you. So I can't change your mind, so that's fine. I can only just say what's on my mind and how I feel, and how you want to respond to it, that's on you.
Yeah, because everyone has their filters at the end of the day, and will see what they want to see.
Yeah, exactly.
How do you deal with it? Or I don't know if this has even happened, but like for me, I haven't had any negative backlash on anything I said, because I'm not at that level where there's enough attention. And all the time I think, fuck, if someone comments something negative now, how is that gonna affect me? What's that gonna do to me? Am I gonna react well? Am I gonna do this? I don't know yet. I haven't had to come against it. I think I've had like 1 or 2 dislikes on a few of the things I posted. I'm like, well, they don't like it. But a comment where they're trying to go in on my character, I haven't had to face. But for you, I think specifically around, because we can get into, I guess, some of the stuff that comes from like the grilling, but for the conscious conversations that you're having and in this realm, have you ever had any negativity, and how have you dealt with it?
No, do you know what? I think sometimes it's with the content I'm talking about, it's about being mindful, because some people are still very sensitive. So I used to have a stream show, a streaming app. So that's where I used to do conscious conversations like every week without fail. And one of the topics we were talking about parenthood, and is it okay to like hit your children? And in the conversation, someone was still very like healing and very triggered. So they just hated the whole conversation. It's very much we're live and we're talking. This person's just throwing hella stuff. Because I said something along the lines of like, well, when you come from like a Caribbean background, like parents aren't afraid to like beat you, like it's standard. And so then they put the question to me, like, do you think it's necessary? And then I just said like, I don't think, obviously abusing children is wrong completely, but at the same time, it's like there is a line, and sometimes kids will cross it, and sometimes you need to, not that you need to make your kid fear you, but kids need to fear something, like they need to fear you or God, and it's important that there's a boundary that's not crossed, because if not, I don't know if you've seen like Nanny 911, like how the kids will hit their parents and abuse and do all this, and it's like, whoa.
Mad. That's what, from a Nigerian household, the thought of even blocking my mum's slaps was to her, she was like, are you trying to kill me? So now you're going to kill me in my house now. That's the response. But sorry, go on.
But with that, it's kind of like, that's when I realized, okay, some of the topics we just have to make sure like the trigger warnings are there, because no one's ever really attacked my character. I think if anything, I get trolls. Actually going back to assumptions. So going back to everything. So because sometimes I'll be like looking nice, I have like my hair done, makeup, whatever, wear a nice outfit. People will come on my page and then they'll think, what is she doing? Like it's like that assumption they make, and then it goes with the whole, oh, you're trying to be a part of the woke crowd now, just like that silliness. And for me, it's kind of like, I've never claimed to be like, oh my God, I'm so conscious. I just claim like, let's just have a conversation. Like, I'm not claiming to be really woke and really spiritual. I'm just saying like, I'm aware, like I'm here and I'm listening. And that's just more as well. I find people, trolls go in super hard, by the way. So what I've learned is they don't ever affect me. I think at one point I wasn't getting trolled, but obviously on the YouTube from the show, brilliant. I was getting trolled quite a lot. But one, I learned I've never taken it personally. I didn't realize how bad I was getting trolled until like Harry rang me and was like, Chian, I'm just calling to see you're okay. I was like, yeah, why? And he was like, oh, comments are really bad. And I think that's when like they were just misogynistic comments. So I didn't expect anything different, because I know that men are in their feelings when you're asking them about their penis size and how much money they earn. So it was kind of, I was expecting it. But I think what I always learned anyway, like it's not that deep. Like if someone has the energy and the time to be negative, like go online and be negative about someone they don't know, like that's an issue, that they're just projecting their own insecurity, their own problem or their own unhappiness. Because for me, I know that I'm happy and I'm feeling good. Like I don't feel the need to go onto your page, say something nasty about your character who I know nothing about, and really go for it. And that's why I just think they're the people that need the most kindness. So I just sometimes will respond and just put love and light. I just literally, like I said, love them. I never, don't even give them time. But sometimes people just troll you because they want a reaction from you. So when you do it from kindness, like, it's fine. Like, I know some blog pages repost my videos, and I think once I responded to a video, it wasn't even my video, it was like someone else, a man, just saying about, you know, men just focus on you, do this, do that. And I commented saying like, yeah, like this is a really good mindset mentality. Obviously, like, I'm commenting as just me, not the show host. So then someone's tried to like clap back and attack me and be like, oh, says the girl who has a show that asked people this, that. And then in my head I was like, people, like, that's when I realized some people are just really stupid, uneducated, and think that everything is real, in the sense that people come online and they forget there's still real people behind the screens and stuff. I just learned with, don't even take anything serious as long as it goes back into how you value yourself. As long as you know who you are and you know what you do with your life and the value you bring to the people in the life around you, doesn't really matter what, like, you know, John 55 on a fake account with no followers has to say about you. Like, it really doesn't affect my life.
Or user 178971.
Yeah. For real, like, I'm still going to sleep at night. You're not, because you're up trolling. So if anything, you just pray for them and just wish them love and light and healing.
Yeah, when you deep it and really, really take in that people, like you said, are using their valuable, limited time, like, it's mad that you would use it to spend so much time to go at someone. And you know what's funny? I've noticed this as well. People will sometimes, people who are big, prominent, however you want to phrase it, will comment on something. Someone comments saying something outrageous. The person comes back and they're like, oh no, I was just joking, I'm a big fan. And I'm just like, so why, what's going on? This is what you're doing to get attention, like going at them. Like, I understand that it will get their attention, but the framing is mad. The framing is mad.
For real, for me, man, I'm just like, you okay? And it's like, what else? Like, for me, it's popular. I'll get like men that will say something in the comments and then they'll DM me, I didn't mean that, by the way. And I'm like, no, I'm definitely not. I really do try and reply to as many DMs as I can. But also with it, I think the danger with social media, people think they've got an entitlement to the access they have to you. So I get a lot of people that try and like manipulate me to get response. They'll do bet you think you're too nice to respond to me now, or you think you're too big to respond. So in order for me to be like, no, I'm not. And I just think I'd much rather you just say, hey, how are you? Or just ask something different, because remember, like, in a woman's DMs, there's 1,000 other men saying, hey, how are you? I'd like to date you. So if you come with something different, like send me a meme. I promise you, if you send me a meme in my DM, you're most likely to get 100% success rate. If I'm available to be on my phone, I will.
Man, you heard it here first, you know. Meme game has got to be on point.
Exactly.
Actually, on social media, I watched one of the conversations you had about it. I forgot the name of the person you're on. You're on a few videos with her on your channel. Shout out to her. I forgot her name. Maya. Yeah, I think it's Maya. Yeah, you two have a really good. Yeah, you two have a very good dynamic.
Yeah, she's the best. She really is.
And one of the things you were speaking about was how it's hard not to get wrapped up in the numbers, because even though you know it's not real, and even though you know you shouldn't compare yourself to others, it matters because you want to make money and you know, make a living through it. And obviously, I'm guessing at the time that you recorded that video, you know, the grilling show hadn't popped in the sense in the way it has now. So I wanted to ask you, how do you feel your relationship with social media is now, especially off the back of the popularity of the show? And obviously what comes with that is more attention, new opportunities, etc. So what's your relationship now with social media, having had like a moment where there's a lot more attention has come to you, basically?
It's good, but I think now it's harder because for me now, like I operate more strategic as a business level, as in what I'm posting. Don't get me wrong, I always post what I want to post, but before I used to just, actually no, I am guilty, I'll do it sometimes. Like, before the Instagram account got big, I would probably get in drunk from a night out and just like go live just to like this is what I done tonight, guys, just tell them pointless information. But now I have to be more strategic. Like there could be potential brands that are watching and they don't want to listen to me talk about doing like 20 shots at the bar thinking I'm really cool, like, because that's not cool to brands. So it's just now I feel I can't be as just more like me, if that makes sense, because I have to be realistic. Like this is, I wanted to do social media for a business perspective to build myself as a brand. So I need to make sure that I'm just being more strategic with my things. Like I don't care about followers and likes anymore because I just believe I'm in a position now where it's just gonna grow because I've got my self involved in so many projects that no matter what, like it's not gonna go down unless, you know, cancel culture wants to come for me for something. But it's only gonna grow positively. So for now, if anything, it's enabled me to put light onto things that I want to do, like my conscious page. I also have another page called Pure Love Projects where I go feed the homeless and we round up like volunteers and just do good. But yes, I guess if anything, I don't feel the pressure, whereas before I used to be like, before I even had 10,000 followers, because I feel like it sounds really silly, but at the time, just having the K next to your name, people rate you different because like before I even had 10K, I used to be like, my friend, I was like, just need to get 10K followers and then everything will be right because people will want to work with me. And my friend even said to me, she was like, Cheyenne, I'm so glad that you've finally got past 10,000 followers. And I was just like, finally. But notice people it's weird because I know obviously the show's more viral than like my social media is. So like the show gets like 700,000 views, 500,000 views. So I forget how out there my face is. My social media isn't, because like it's still growing. I think, don't get me wrong, I've grown nicely on it. I'm on like 38,000, but it's in comparison to the show. So I forget. But because of the show, people are responding to me really different. Like people that know me, I've noticed that haven't like messaged me or spoken to me for years. Now suddenly have this energy to like see if they still have access to me. And I'm one of those people, I've never been like, oh my God, like, but people will just say something, oh, hey Shauna, how are you? And just let's meet up soon. And in my head, I was like, the reason why I'm speaking about it, because it's not bothered me, but it has in the sense that like 2 years ago, like when I was really like suicidal, I don't recall any of these people checking in on me. And that's why for me, I take it a little bit personal, because like if it was a genuine like, hey, how are you? Why didn't I receive just a genuine, hey, how are you at the moment? I get it. Sometimes life happens and people need to see how other people respond to you before they want to fuck with you. Sorry, I just swore.
It's fine. You can say whatever the fuck you want. That's fine.
Because usually I have a potty mouth and I'm trying to like unfilter swear words out of my mind so I can just do more like professional brands and stuff. So I was like, But yeah, that's the only thing that I've noticed is just how, even just with sharing the show and like my content, people never really like fucked with me, and they didn't like rate the show or anything. And for the first few episodes, especially people that knew me, but until people stop me in the street for pictures, and I think that's crazy. And until people start seeing the way people respond to me, it's now like, now everyone's happy to share my video. Everyone's happy to say like, my girl was doing this, or I wasn't your girl like 6 months ago when I was like, please repost. But with saying that, I understand it because, and I just want to make this point because I know there's a lot of people that always ask me to repost their things. And I feel like this is my personal issue that I have with certain things. Like, listen, if I like your work, if I do things, I will happily post you. It's not an issue. But and this is a bit of my ego talking at the same time, because for me, like I've genuinely
conscious hypocrite. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. So because I've been genuinely building my platform for years and I've actually grafted, it's not like I've never actually used my looks to build my content, in the sense that if I was just posting bikini pics all day, I guarantee I would already be on 100K by now, like genuinely. But because I've just always wanted to grow it authentically, like I've just gone like the hard route. And so when people want to just message me and say, oh, can you share this? Can you post that? It's kind of like, until I see consistency from you, I don't think it's fair that I should put, because my engagement is really good. Like I get like millions. Like bear in mind, my insights. So I only have 38,000 followers, but my audience reach is in the millions. And so that's why for me, it's like I'm a businesswoman at the same time. So I'm not just an idiot. So when people are saying post that, why should I give you kind of that free promotion when I'm not seeing consistency? Because until I see that you're really trying and working hard on it, do you know what? I will give you that helping hand that you need. But I don't think anyone should have a come up for someone for the sake of just because they know you or they want something. Like it doesn't work like that. Work hard, then you'll reap the rewards. So that's where I'm at. So anyone listening that thinks you can just slide in my DM because you know me and ask for this, it doesn't work like that. I'm happy to promote your stuff, but you just need to show a bit of consistency first. So
hey, you heard it here first, friends of Chian. If you want to DM, make sure you're every week or every day or whatever the regular intervals are. You know what's interesting about that? Go on.
Sorry, I'll say, Joe, what else is mad though? Listen, don't be that person. Don't ever come in my DMs, ask me to promote your stuff if I've not even seen you ever once promote mine. Like this is what I'm saying, ego, because it's like, so you see what I'm popping, and because usually we'll see, because it will say so and so mentioned you in a story. So at least when I see that, I know that they're plugging the show. But when we have no conversation history and you want me to promote you, no, you've got to learn how to build relationships with people on a business level if you want to do it. Like
because then I guess in that sense they're using your leverage for themselves without really offering anything to you. But I guess in a weird way, I guess it's human nature that there's going to be some people that just feel like, oh yeah, I vaguely had a conversation with her like 4 years ago. She'll remember me. Like, she'll remember me. She'll help me out. Bro, why should she help me out?
Yeah, for real. And people take it personal. But even with that, it's like, remember, I am a nice person, but at the same time, like, it's about being business-minded now with certain things. So, yeah, don't take it for an idiot.
I think it also speaks to why it's important. And I don't know if you do have this or not, but like some of the conversations I have with my friends who are all very ambitious and aspiring to do great things in the world in various different arenas. I think the one thing that we've spoken about quite a lot is understanding that if you do get to a level where you are deemed as popping, it's important to know who the core people are before that happens, because if you get to that point and start trying to put everyone in that bracket, it can be detrimental, because obviously with these things, there's ups and downs. Like, you know, you might be on a massive up and then for whatever reason, might even be because you've chosen to step back, and then, you know, you have to slowly build up again. And then you feel like you have these people in your corner and then they just like disappear. It's important to know who those core people are so that, you know, no one can just come out of nowhere and go, yo, I need this favor from you.
Exactly. I think as well, it's just that reminder of like, just no expectations with anything from anyone, because I think that's another problem. People just
massive. You know what? I'm going to say it now. I actually don't expect any of my friends, family, anybody I know to listen to my podcast or support me in anything. I just don't, because I understand what it's like to be on the other side. And, you know, if you're trying to do something yourself, you can't take in everyone else's stuff feasibly. Like, you would have to do it in bits and pieces. And then the other thing is, they might just not be the people that are into the content you make, but they could still love you and appreciate you and everything, but just what you're doing isn't just their thing. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's important to know. I wanted to touch on something actually with the social media, like your view on social media, quickly, because you mentioned it a couple times when you were talking about business and brands and displaying yourself in a certain way for them. How, like, and you had the story about you'd come back from a night out and say, oh, I had 20 shots and it was a banging night, blah, blah.
They dared me. They dared me to do a backflip. Like, my friend held me up and done a backflip, and that's what I was doing. And I was like, why did I do that?
Oh my God, you were doing backflips on Instagram? Do you still have video footage of that? Because you...
Don't say this on there. Do not save this live. I'll regret it in the morning.
What I wanted to say though is that I feel like in that happening, that you then reduce your own level of authenticity. So how do you feel about that? Because in my own personal opinion, I feel like authenticity is quite a... I think long term, it's one of the core elements for someone to be successful long term, or at least happy, fulfilled. The internal feelings come from feeling that you're being more authentic. So how do you feel if you have to suppress parts of yourself on social because of the business upside? Do you feel like it's being less authentic, or?
No, because I don't, to be fair, like, I don't really like suppress myself. I think it's because I've come to realize as well, like, social media is not real life. Because I think people get so caught up in it, and I used to, because I used to go live like all the time. Like, honestly, ask my followers. All I used to do is go live, and that's when I realized, Chian, like, you need to actually go out and like get a man or something, because it was embarrassing. Like, I treat Instagram like it's my relationship. I will come live just to talk about nothing, because I have no one to talk to. And for me, I do like it though, because the relationship that I do actually have with my followers, like my people that actually support my stuff, it's genuine and it's real. Like, I talk to them on like first name basis and stuff, and we have conversations. So it's not, I don't feel like I'm ever having to like minimize myself. It's just, I have to just be mindful, like, okay, if I'm talking about something, like, I might not talk about, whereas before I might just talk about a sex story, but now it's being mindful because I might actually have like younger kids on the platform and stuff. So it's just now being more aware and more mindful. Like, I'll still be me, like, I have a really awful humor, so I'll still do all my jokes, I'll still do everything, but it's also making sure that I'm keeping something for myself, because where there was a point where I was giving so much of myself to social media, like, I wouldn't say it was validation, but it was because I built this relationship where I was always on social media, that I'd realized like, I'm spending my Friday night on social media when I should just shut up and just sit down and put a film on. Like, just like little things that would take away from my time, because I love engaging with everyone as much as possible, because the way I see it, like, without my followers, I wouldn't be where I am. So I feel like indebted to kind of give my time that people give to me for my show and my content. But sometimes I get unbalanced because I'll give more time to my socials and stuff like that. So it's just about having that boundary. So that's why. If that makes sense.
That does make sense. You kind of had to draw a line to be like, okay, I need to actually live my life.
Live in the real world. You get caught up, like, and as well, just with it, because I think there's this massive like influencer war with people in general, because people hate, at first I don't like the word influencer, but like, people really hate influencers for just getting paid to just like wear clothes and promote stuff. And I think it's just an internal jealousy thing, if I'm honest. No one come at me. No one at me.
100%. 100. Honestly, like, working in the industry from an agency perspective. So like, to be honest, reaching out to people like yourself or other influencers, creators to work with on like brand campaigns and stuff like that. And sometimes I see the fees and I'm like, rah, should I just quit my job and just go full throttle? Because the numbers I'm seeing are mad. Like, some of the numbers I'm seeing for campaigns, I'm like, boy, I could pay my rent off for 6 months if I did this brand deal. And I can see why that can make a lot of people jealous. But I think the other part of that is you don't see the work. People don't see the work. People don't see when you're trying to record a video and the battery dies halfway through, and then you have to like.
And your environment, sometimes it's like when you're not feeling good or whatever, like you have to like get yourself up, active, in a good mental state. All these things. It's not just putting on clothes. Like there's days when you're fighting an internal battle. You don't want to do this, or you don't want to do this, whatever it is. And it's like people need to understand that. Like it's a long process and it's a long journey. It's not just wake up, take a selfie, and oh my god, I'm rich. But people forget that.
Yeah, they do. They definitely do. Although partly we do put ourselves in that arena, right? Because all the work we do, we're aspiring for people to watch it and enjoy it, and with that, you know, I guess you do have to be ready for some people to question it, even though we do in a way want our work to be validated. I know like J.K. Rowling was speaking about like, because I want to come into how things have potentially changed for you as you've become more recognized. And I know like J.K. Rowling, for example, she was learning about her story. She was talking about how she just wasn't ready. She wasn't ready to be as big as she was. Like she was writing a book, she wanted to make a living, and then it popped to a mad level. And then she was like, yo, what? Like, I think there's a story where she's driving to a book signing, and basically she's driving through the streets, and the streets are packed with people like going somewhere looking like they're going to a football game or an American football game. And she asked the driver, oh, well, what's happening today? Like, where are all these people going? And the driver's like, oh, they're coming to see you. And she's like, yo, this is mad.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yeah. But she said it gave her a lot of anxiety. And I know Dave, he has I can't remember which track on his psychodrama album where he was like, I used to dream of this shit when I was hopping on train. So bad, always wanted the fame. And sometimes the extra attention it brings isn't what you expected. So what's the experience been like for you that you've had something that's been validated, which is in part ways the goal of making a content, right? So you've got some level of validation. What's the experience been like now that you've had that, and how do you mentally deal with now having a track record to potentially like, oh, okay, the next thing I need to do needs to bang the same way, otherwise am I really that gal? Do you know what I mean? Those kind of pressures.
I think it's different because, do you know what, I think the hardest part, like when it's the conscious stuff, people are like, oh, I love it, keep doing this, keep it up. Like conscious stuff, there's never really a problem and it's out in public. It's more with like with grilling, because it's usually if I'm out on an evening or somewhere with drunk men. I get noticed in the daytime, but I feel the response I get from drunk men, it's quite unfair because like I'll tell you about this unpleasant experience that I had. I was out and this guy is just coming up to me. I actually spoke about my Instagram, and he's just like being really intrusive, and he's like trying to like grab me by the neck, and it was like people think they have this right to just like touch you. And I was just like, whoa. And he's like, yo, like, grill me. And I was like, it's a show. And he's like, oh, I want to come on the show. And then where he's just drunk and he's so unaware. And even his friend is like, bro, like, get off her neck, like, leave her alone. And you know, and then it's like, and because he's drunk, and just as a woman, to protect myself, because this man's massive. So I'm just trying to be polite. But really in my head, I just want to tell you to F off and like, for my safety, I'm just being really calm. And then he's like, grill me. And he's just like trying to like breathe all up in my face. And this is COVID time still. And he's like breathing all up in me, trying to be all sexy and like whisper some mad stuff in my ear. And I was like, I was speechless. And then he just bit my cheek. Like he fully bit.
Shit.
Yeah, it was trying to like bite. You know, like we're trying to like pretend to seduce and nibble you, but because he's drunk, it's like hurting and it's not cool. And I was like, bro, like, and what was bad, like there was hella men around and not one person. And I'm literally saying like, look, I'm dating someone. like, please don't do this, like, and if, like, I'm happy to talk about the show, but I'm out right now, I don't want to talk about it. Like, when I'm out, I just want to have fun. And then it's just, it just gets a bit annoying, because then I've gone from him, finally got away, and then another man's just come and grabbed me, and then it was just kind of like, it's just the boundaries where just people think they have this entitlement to touch you, and it's like, and I'm not even big yet, and that's why I just think it's, for me now, overwhelming if I go out, because I have anxiety as it is. Like, I do get attention when I go out anyway, like before the show, so it's not like, oh my god, it's something new, but it's just now, because they watch the show, they think, like, they'll call me, they'll just go, oi, grilling girl, and in my head I'm like, firstly, if you want to talk, address her correctly and just be a bit more polite. And so then for me, it's hella triggering, because I don't like the way people just like are condescending in their approach, like, be a gentleman. And then, so that was just that kind of thing. And so when it comes to just going out now, I'm just a bit more mindful, because it's, I have to remember, like, people think because they watch the show that they know you, and that's where it's like, oh, okay, that kind of thing. But in regards to like content and pressure, I feel, if anything, I feel like now I've got like the show as kind of leverage to who I am with like my ideas. So I know that I could confidently, like, now, because I'm trying to write and pitch other shows and stuff, and I want to write my documentary. So even with things like this, I've got this as leverage, where I can be like, well, you know, like, I actually started this with no like, me and Standout, we both had no followers. Like, I think I had like 7,000 followers, so I did have some, but it was just my conscious community. So I had 7,000 followers. Standout only had like 1, and the fact that we've both just been able to grow over the last 6 months has been good, and we're only going to keep growing. So the fact that I can use this and be like, well, look, you know, not really any budget, like, we really started from the bottom, and this is what we're able to now do. So just, can you trust in my vision? And I hope that, you know, I have got a good track record now, where people on a professional perspective, they're like, do you know what? Well, yeah, like, we'll do it. So if anything, it's not giving me pressure. It's maybe a bit more like just content to like believe in my stuff, because I always felt and always doubted myself. But now I'm like, no, like, believe in your source, you know?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it's proven itself, right? And that's such a sick story, that you were able to combine forces with someone else that was also looking to build, and it's kind of worked in tandem, where you both reaped off that. That's sick.
Yeah. And I think it's nicer, because I find as well, with a lot of people that I tried to collaborate with in the past, a lot of people would collaborate, and they wouldn't then want to post me, and then I'd like tag me, then they'd like tag me the day after, like, so after it's gained all the attention, then tag me after, and then I'm like, well, there was no point in this collaboration, because everyone's seen it now, they don't care. So I found
that's weird.
Yeah. So that happened a lot. And I found, just with that, people, it's once again going back to the previous conversation, like, people don't always want to give you like that helping hand, because they see it as they're doing you the favor, which I think for me now was the biggest blessing, because there's not one person that can say like, oh, well, you built your platform on the back of me, because it's a general thing that's just built over time, like, organically, which I think gives me the power now. So I can't have someone be like, oh, well, you know, I think especially as a woman, you get so many referred to as so-and-so's girlfriend, or so-and-so's video girl, or so, like, it's just, as a woman, you have to work twice as hard sometimes. So I've never gone the long way, and now.
Yeah, that actually comes on to my next question, actually, about being an attractive woman in the content creator industry. And it can lead to a lot of things, obviously a lot of very positive benefits sometimes, people giving you a chance when otherwise they may have, or it can lead to people projecting things onto you as well, which is the other side. So I actually had a podcast with Katerina, one of your mates, I believe. Yeah, which was really good. Guys, go check that out. I'll put it in the info box on the top or somewhere else. I think it's episode 22. She's sick. And like, some of the things people are saying to her is she can't be attractive and funny at the same time. That it doesn't. Yeah, which I mean, yeah, obviously, as you know, as most of us should know, really, that humans are very multifaceted, and the same person can like
Do it
two
all.
things. It's not mutually exclusive. There's a lot of combinations that would surprise you if you feel people should only be in one lane. Um, how do you generally navigate that then? Like those things happening to you. How do you just like rise above it? Because I can imagine it gets frustrating.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah, I'd
think
love to hear.
I think as well, it just leads back now so people know that I mean business, because I think a lot of people, I think as well, people, a lot of men, and I don't mean this with any disrespect, actually, no, disrespectfully, I'm not
Sorry.
even trying to be respectful. A lot of men think women are stupid. They also abuse and exploit their power. So there's been plenty, which I'm not going to out right now, but when my platform's big enough, I do not feel no way about staying silent. But there's a lot of men that have had big platforms, big followings, and even just like money to kind of just be like, right, let's do this project, let's do that. And when it comes down to meeting me, they try and cross like a personal boundary. So like they'll try and get to know me on a personal level. And I'm like they'll say, oh, let's meet up. And then, okay, I'm happy to meet. So I'll suggest let's go for a coffee. So then on the day, oh, sorry, I'm a bit busy now. Can we do evening? We'll go for a drink. And I'm like, if this is a professional thing, like, why am I going to meet you in a social environment? Like there's certain things, and I think about being smart, because, you know, like it happens a lot. And maybe men might meet other men in a drinking environment, but they need to understand, like with women, the way the world just sees and responds and reacts to us is completely different. So it's a lot harder for us. And I don't like, if I want to work with you and collaborate, I don't want to go for a drink with you. Like I want to work with you. And a lot of men are surprised by it. And the moment they realize, like, oh, she's actually wanting to work, the way the energy starts changing through like the messages. So a lot of the time I'll just say like, oh, I'll get like, I have someone that helps me like deal with the like bookings and like collaborations, because it's a lot easier for someone to actually be like, this is this is that. Because if I don't, it's like an unofficial agent of mine. It's like my friend, like she helps do it all, but it just makes it easier, because I think if there's too much personal contact, it then gets too personal, or they then try and cross that boundary, and it's just exhausting for us as women, because then the moment you put them in their place, their ego is a bit bruised. Now they've stopped answering your messages, and next thing you know, the project you wanted to do with them, they're doing with someone else, and you're just like, when you hurt a man's ego, I'm sorry, like they just move mad. But for every like bad guy that responds bad, there's always like a really good guy that's very professional. So I don't want anyone to listen and like any woman to fear that all men are like that, because there's so many good men that are professional and just be like, you know, like for you, you're just like, right, hey, like here's the Zoom link, respond to this, like you're like, that's the best way to deal with it. So if anything, I think you need to give men pointers. You should do like a class or just a video to explain everything correctly. And for me, I feel safer, I feel respected, and I feel like appreciated. And I think, you know, like it's important that men do that and understand that. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the compliment. I actually think, yeah, the reason I ask is because I have quite a lot of female friends and women in my life who will tell me some of the things that get tried on them in situations where it's, you know, the context isn't right. And
like
yeah, I think
they make, and then you're like I think I can't remember, I was on a shoot once, and obviously I was wearing something tight, and then like they made a comment about like taking it off, and I was like don't get me wrong, I can have banter like all day long, but there's a difference sometimes. I will happily banter some things all day long, because then I'll sometimes banter back. If that's that kind of energy where we have that kind of funny personality, I'll have it with you. If I don't have that with you, don't even do it. Like, do not.
Yeah. I think reading signals is important, because obviously sometimes you might work with someone and you're like, actually, you know, there's something here, but to impose it is where it can get a bit sticky. Or sometimes if someone draws the line, not respecting the line when it's been drawn, I think that's where that's where you need to monitor for. But no, I think as well, just for potential like women listening that are worried about that thing, have those things happening, just to like be vigilant and like if you think it's moving in a mad direction, to be confident enough to call it out, because obviously you don't want to get
it's hard
labeled or anything, or it's I understand, like
even women are so like, and this is the saddest thing, like women are scared to speak up or call them out like there in the chat because they're scared it's going to block their opportunity. And I just look and I think it's so crazy because I find this industry so male dominated, so it's like, oh my god, like it's hard. But you know, ladies, don't be afraid to call someone out.
Yeah, for sure. It's your life at the end of the day.
And then do you want to work with someone if they're like that? Probably not. So you're not really losing.
Yeah, man. Think long term. Don't worry about this opportunity. There'll be another one that suits, that comes around. So we're getting towards the end of the pod. I had a couple questions that I still want to ask you. So the first one is talking about certain subjects. I guess kind of slightly related to grilling, but I think you've talked about this in other, like your other content as well. You know, topics around like sex and dating and relationships. And I've seen a lot of comments for you about you being a raging feminist, or you're the example of the modern woman. Like that one makes me laugh. Yeah, she's an example of the modern woman. This is how they all are, blah, blah, blah. This might be the episode where I get hate. So all the people in the comments, go, write your shit. I'm ready. Because this one I see and I laugh. I'm laughing because, you know, there's a lot of things going on. It's not just there's a lot of things going on in the world that contribute to this current situation between men and women. And it's not just social media. There's a lot of other things. But obviously, the things that people do say can be quite hurtful when they're attacking you in those ways. So how do you deal with criticism on that level where they're coming after your beliefs and that kind of thing in with those comments?
I suppose, again, I'd literally just drop my ego. Like sometimes I want to respond, but then I just literally sit on it, just literally do a deep breath and just be like, is it worth my energy? No, because just going back to like everything that like I believe, you know, negative people, like people that troll, they have something, they're just projecting. So there's something internally wrong with them or going on in their lives that they feel the need to do that. It's not necessary. I'm very secure with who I am as a person and who I have around me and who I love around me and what I do. So someone telling me stuff on account, it really isn't going to affect my life, you know. So just remembering, like, it's social media, it's not real life. But I know sometimes people will probably come up to people in the street, you know, and then once again, it's remembering people, no matter what you say or what you do in life, that's just they've created a version of you in their mind already. So it doesn't really matter. Like, let them think what they want. Like, that's a you problem. You don't like me, that's a you problem. I'm fine. Like, I'm still going to sleep. You know? Has
that ever affected you on a face-to-face or personal level where someone's hit you with those things?
No, like, do you know what it is? Because for me, like, growing up with sisters, when you fight and bitterly, like, over situations, you just learn to get a thick skin because people aren't always going to like you. And I think just accepting that you'll be at peace, because I feel like we're always it's good to strive and be ambitious and want to be the best at things, but just learning to let your ego go and just be like, okay, like, not everyone's going to like me. And the moment you are actually fine with that, nothing will affect you. Like, there's nothing anyone could personally say on here ever that's going to upset me, you know, like nothing. So learning to just be confident with who you really are.
Wow, I can sense that's real, you know. I feel that's real because like a lot of people are even scared to really start doing anything because they're scared of that happening to them. Oh, I don't want to be the center of attention. I don't want people coming for me making reaction videos and all that kind of stuff.
Don't worry about it. And I just look and I think, let them like for me personally, like do all the reacting videos you want, because you're making people click on my page. Like you're doing what you need to do. You're getting your views, and you're getting me views. So if anything, thank you. But it's just, even just with the whole, what was it, reaction videos, they're doing what they've got to do. Oh God, my mind just literally went blank then. What was I just saying? People, oh my God, my mind just fully went blank.
So I was saying that, God, my mind's gone blank as well.
Exactly. Yeah, but I just think even just with it, it's just not even about being like a content creator online, just being sure of who you are as a person. Like stop seeking validation online, like, because before I used to just really look at videos and just be like, oh my God, like I really want to get, like my personal page doesn't even get views, like I've not even been consistent on that, but on my YouTube I used to be so bothered about, oh my God, this video didn't do as well, but just don't even worry about it, because like you'll get one video or something that goes viral, then people start doing the research and looking at you, and that's what I noticed. Like when people do like reaction videos to me and stuff, people will then troll me, and then because I give people the time of day, like through kindness, like I don't respond to trolls when they're being nasty, but because I'm like, hey, how are you, and just being genuine. And a lot of the time I get people that go, oh my God, I didn't expect you to respond, but then when I do, they then get like a newfound level of respect, because it reminds them that I'm a normal person behind me. And also they then start doing their research on me, and like I've filmed things with BBC Three, like I've done quite a few things, and I do a lot of conscious things, and obviously like the homeless stuff that I do. So then when people do find like a bit more information on who I am as a person, a lot of the trolls actually come back and apologize. So that's why it makes me laugh, because they've gone from trolling to then saying, I actually owe you an apology, like you seem like a really nice person, and and that's why I just think, going back to believing who you are as a person, what you stand for, and if that really is your character, like the light always comes out in the end. So that's fine. Be nasty, do all you want, because when you start to realize who I am as a person, you realize like I am the real deal when it comes to, giving compassion, giving love, and not just being on content for the sake of my ego, like it's for a greater purpose for other people. So yeah, just
wow. Yeah, that's real impact there. I think I know there's a few people that I watch regularly, like there's a guy called Garyvee, if you know who he is.
I love Garyvee, yeah.
Okay, yes, my peoples, that's it. Yeah, Garyvee's hard, and I used to really dislike him, or I don't know, I just felt really, I didn't like him. I just thought, who's this guy chatting? And then I think I watched the video and I thought, oh, this is actually quite interesting. And then, like you were mentioning, started watching other videos, doing the research, and realizing, oh no, I had a wrong impression of this person. So yeah,
and that's the thing, and it's the power of like, just an assumption you can make. Because I was the same with Garyvee, because I think I saw one video and it was just in my head, I was like, who is he to be condescending to this man? Because I'm very protective on that. If I see someone that's like for me, if I was watching, to be fair, if I was watching grilling, and I think there's one video where I'm really having a go at Mike's, if that wasn't me, I'd be like, who does she think she is? I probably would be in the like, how does she think she's so nice? She's like, I probably would have been that person. She needs to humble herself. But then I would troll in a nice way, where it's like this. I would always do that little wisdom thing. How would you like it if someone spoke to your son like that? Like I'd always do a comment like that. So when it was Garyvee, who does he think he is? Talk to people like that. But then I also watched the way people respond in the comments. I was like, oh, people really like him. Then done my research and was like, oh no, I'm really bad. Like, and it just goes to show things do a full circle. When you're authentic, life will do a free circle on everyone that wants to troll you, everyone wants to hate on you, because when you are who you are and living in your truth, no one can really come, just hold yourself there like, I'm good, I got me, it's fine.
Most definitely. I learned something else about you as well, that you're a skilled troll. You won't go direct, the sly one.
Yeah, for me, it's like, because the reason why I listen, I replied, especially on Officially Urban, right? So shout out to Officially Urban's page, because I really love the page. It's like my favorite page, and I will comment on stuff, And then I feel when I disagree with something, I'll always try and disagree in a way where I'm still just putting my perspective, but there's not complete judgment on yours, but this is mine, because everything links. It's like, that's your opinion. That is your reality. So that's your opinion, but I think this. And then, so then I'll spark a conversation with other people. Then you get other people at me and I'm like, whoa, it's too much. I just want to say. I've also learned, don't always give you 2 pence, Chian, because sometimes it's not worth it. Like sometimes I just want to comment my opinion, leave it as that. But then I find, especially from the success of the show, people just want to respond to me and argue for no reason. Like Officially Urban actually posted a picture of me and what I had to say in the comment section. And I was not it was a nice comment. It was just saying, like, we are healing. Like, I think the post was about men saying women are damaged or whatever. So I just was like, yeah, we're all healing. So like a really nice comment. And then someone's gone, you look like an idiot, you proved his point, or whatever, like trying to argue. And I was like, why? Sometimes I'm bloody agreeing, like, or I'm saying this. So like, people just want to argue for the sake of getting a reaction from you. And then after, I just was like, okay, go.
Yeah. You know what actually is funny, because I've also noticed that some people want to do that trolling thing just to get a buzz off. Like, I'll notice sometimes, I'll watch a video and people are all trying to outdo each other on the funniest thing to say to make fun of. And I'm like, this isn't even about the content anymore. This is just about who's basically dick swinging for who's the funniest. Oh, I can make the funniest comment. Right, how can do this? This is like that. And then someone else below is like trying to say the same thing, but it's a fucking mad world. I guess that's the summary. It's a fucking mad world. So I guess my last question for you, before we get to wrapping up, is how do you generally manage your mental health now, especially like with social media, with the work you're doing, freelancing, and especially from where you've come from as well? Like, how now do you manage your social media, manage your mental health when taking into account this is now your career? How is it different? What have you changed your routines to manage? Like, what things are you doing?
Yeah, well, I'm still in the process of changing my routine, because it's not as easy as just like, I'll change it and I'm going to wake up and do it. Because for me, once again, like, procrastination takes control of my life a lot of the time. And I found when, like, at the moment, last few months I've been going through some stuff that is just more environmental about my situation, which has like had an impact on me. But it's just managed, like, it's just boundaries. So I know, like, and structure. So I know that I used to check my phone before getting out of bed, and it was a really bad habit of mine. Like, it was a disgusting habit. I would just be in bed and pick up my phone. The moment I pick up my phone, that's like 30 minutes gone, wasted. So the rule now is, like, I can't actually pick up my phone until I'm out of bed, the bed is made, and I've had breakfast. It's something so little, but it's a big thing, because honestly, the moment I pick up my phone and I'm in bed, best believe I'm in bed for like an extra half an hour or just something. And or what I've also tried to do now, every time I pick up my phone, if I go on it, I'm only allowed to go on social media with a purpose. So if I do, because I used to just scroll for no reason. So now I'll pick it up, and if I do, I have to at least reply to 10 people. Like, just like little things, because whether it's like comments to make sure like I'm up to date on replying to people in my comment section or doing this, it just needs to be actually proactive and productive for me and my platform, not just to scroll on someone else's page and give my input and row with someone on a comment for no reason. Like, it has to be progressive, because firstly as well, like, I'm trying to take my career so I'm not too dependent on social media. Like, I want to get my platform so I can just produce content, because this is the long-term goal for me, is be more of a producer. But at the moment, whilst I'm young, use my looks, build the fun. There's so much fun in that. But long-term goal is, like, no one's going to care what I'm doing in a few years anyway. Like, there's going to be younger, cooler people. So just at the moment, use it to my advantage and
Yeah.
be really strategic. So with that, it's just mental health. Remember, it's not real life. And I think just, the structure to get up, that rule is important, because if I don't, I will scroll. Like, I will actually scroll. And then that's how it affects my mental health, though, because it's the comparison. So that's why I didn't explain it properly, but it's the comparison, because I'll scroll and I'll see someone else that's now doing this or doing that. And then I'm like, oh my God, I'm not working hard enough. And then I'm like, yeah, I am. Like, get off the phone. Or whatever it is. So I just it's just the boundary with the phone, or just pick it up with intentions so it doesn't affect your mental health.
Yeah. Oh, I really resonate with that, especially if you've got a lot of ambition and you're not purposefully, like you were saying, you're purposefully going onto social media saying, I'm responding to 10 messages or I'm responding to my comment section, and you're just there aimlessly. Yeah, it can really fuck with your head, because you're like, oh, I'm not doing shit, everyone's out here doing, and I'm trying,
you're
but I'm
hard
not.
on yourself for them wasting time, because then you literally think, I've just wasted like 20 minutes, and then you're like, then you get annoyed, and then you're not being kind to yourself. It's just this massive cycle that repeats, and you're like, no, still doesn't work.
Yeah. So Chian, it's been an amazing podcast. I've really enjoyed learning more about you, and I feel like there's a lot of things that people will hear that are really encouraging, especially some of the situations that you've navigated yourself out of. I mean, I can't imagine myself doing the same, but I think some people who might be in that situation or close to can find some encouragement from it. And a lot of them will want to find you. Some of them may not have known who you are previously and want to find you and what you're doing on your journey. So the first thing I wanted to ask is, what is next for you on your journey? And I know you mentioned documentaries. If you just give like a brief outline of what that looks like, and then where people can find you to continue.
So like the next project I'm doing, I'm self-funding. It's a documentary.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not gonna say what it's about just yet, but
Sure.
it kind of links. So basically what I've also been doing is just from all the content I've been creating, I've been using the way people have been responding as research.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
that's something people need to realize. I'm not just a bimbo on a screen. Like, I actually am smart. So I've just
Playing
been using
the game.
for real. So I'm just trying to work on that, but because it's self-funded, it's just taking longer. Realistically, I probably won't be filming until March next year, but it's all good. It's balls in motion. Like, I'm doing it. I'm finding the right people that I want to involve in the project and interview and stuff like that. So that's that. And that's it, really. You can find me on, so if you like conscious stuff and talking on a deeper level, my conscious page, like, I'm always up for discussions and conversations with anyone and everyone. It'd be nice to have you on it sometime. We'll find something that we can do.
Yeah, definitely.
The Conscious Hypocrite. And then me, as Chian Reynolds, I'm working, I've signed an NDA, so I can't say much now, but I'm going to be hosting something really cool for another page, and it'll be really interesting to keep up to date with me there.
Okay.
Like the wise teaser. I'm like, I just can't tell you, follow me, basically.
Man, I was hoping we'd get the exclusive, those fucking NDAs.
Yeah.
No, that's really cool. I'm looking forward to seeing the documentary or whatever it's about. You've really piqued my interest because you said the research is from the comments. I'm like, I wonder what that is.
I'm ready.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you so much for jumping on this episode. No, it's been really good. It's been really good. For everyone listening, thanks again for jumping on. I hope you're enjoying it. And I'll catch you on the next episode. Take care. Bless.